A world without micromalting would make my life very difficult and very stressful. It would just make it nigh on impossible to predict whether a variety is going to work for us or not.
Having the ability to put through 7 or 8 different steeping schedules at one time, getting results really quickly, and that helped with a 1 kilo sample, reduces the risk massively compared to a couple hundred tons going through in a full-size Maltons.
The reason why micromalting is so important to us is it's allowing us to identify how a variety behaves at quite an early stage. We're looking at, in some cases, over 40 different varieties. You wouldn't want to grow enough of each of those varieties in order to do a commercial malting batch. You've got a relatively small amount of material and getting a very good idea of the malting potential of that variety.
We use it as a guide. It's a small sample, around 1 kilo of barley going through ideal conditions. So it's good to give you what you should be able to achieve if everything goes well through a full-scale Maltons.
The results that we get from micromalting, there's a lot of detail in them, a huge amount of detail. It can cause confusion because you've got so many different areas that you're testing. I would be lying if I said that it makes the answers easy, because it really doesn't.
There's a term that we use which is malting by numbers. So we've had a lot of people thinking that the barley comes in, if you know the correct parameters, and it'll give you this perfect idea of what the barley's going to make into as malt. But it's just something you don't see.
Myself and my colleague Don Peters, we're probably a nightmare for getting all that data and then ending up with a whole dozen extra questions that spill out of it. All these varieties that the breeders are producing, if you get perfect conditions, they're all going to be really good. So what you actually want is some of those kind of trickier seasons, just to really put varieties under a bit more pressure and see how they perform. If we had 2 years on the bounce where the weather was kind, that would almost be quite a risky position for us, because it could mean that, say you had a variety that performed really well in those 2 years, we're there thinking this variety's great, got a lot of confidence in it. You then hit that 3rd year with a weather problem and you may find that you come unstuck. The biggest risk, if we were to operate without the micromalting process, we might pick varieties that are far below the expected level. Our decision making is so much better because of the micromalting that we're able to do.
As soon as the bulk of barley's ready to go, ready to malt, we put through a small sample, and it might bring up something that you didn't expect. So you know what barley's gone in, you know the analysis of that barley, you've got a good inkling from experience what's going to come out, but there might always be something that you don't expect. You can read in the textbooks, you can see from experience, these are the things you'd expect to happen, and then sometimes it can just fly in the face of everything you'd expect. Previously, we did have a crop year or a harvest that was a particularly high nitrogen. That's something which historically would always be associated with difficult to steep, so hard to get the water into the barley. Going with that knowledge of historic high nitrogen, we then went ahead and went with increased steeping, so longer time underwater. That caused us a number of issues because the crop actually required the shortest wets that we've probably ever used. We did use some of the testing kit in the micromaltings, the micro steeping, and it went against kind of the known thinking that this high nitrogen was actually really quick to uptake the water, which goes against the grain of what people would usually be assuming for that nature of the crop.
The supply chain, it starts with the farmer, and the farmer needs to have the confidence that if we go to a farmer and ask them to grow something, they need to trust us that that variety has been through that thorough testing process, and that, that variety has a home at harvest.
If we do know that there's been some mitigating factor or circumstance out in the field, we would look to adjust our intake specification to bring in as much barley as we can. One of our quality parameters, which you'll have heard me discuss many times, is homogeneity. 100 corns, 100 pieces of malt in my hand. We want them to be as homogeneous, as consistent as possible. Keeping that batch to be treated the same, so homogeneous in storage time, storage temperatures, the way we're testing it, times underwater, temperatures underwater, those millions and millions of barley kernels to go through the exact same process. As much as it gives us a good idea, putting in a micromalting sample of what we could achieve if everything went perfectly, the reality of the maltings is not everything runs as you'd expect. The level you can achieve in the micromaltings is so precise and so exact that going through a commercial maltings, it's never going to happen the exact same. And so many little things that can take it just that, each one can take it that one step away from perfection, which we're seeing here. The labs here working, doing analysis from the moment that barley's coming in through the full malting process and then all the way to that malt going out to the customer. Each part of that analysis is really building that picture and making sure we've kept as close to that line of perfection as we can. It's not always achievable, but something you're always striving towards. That ability to react is your key parameter, I would say. So being able to react to the things that you find. There's meetings and discussions every day, tracking how close are we getting to that line of perfection and making sure we don't drift too far away. If we start to see that kind of drift away, there'll be teams brought together making the decisions to say, what can we look at, what trials can we do, what can we adjust to bring it closer. So we're always on that baseline of this is what we should be achieving.